wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be Vice President. I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be Vice President. And now I want to hand it over to the President of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. We will defend every inch of NATO which the treaty requires and calls for.
Joe Biden has come under intense scrutiny in the twilight of his presidential tenure. The once respected leader became the center of controversy and criticism. His later years in office were plagued by public gaffes and awkward moments that turned him into a figure of ridicule. As the cameras captured his stumbles, a cloud of doubt began to form over his ability to lead the nation. From stammering speeches to confusing statements, his public appearances started raising serious questions about his mental fitness. Let's take a closer look at some of Biden's notable blunders.
And Mitterrand from from France looked at me and said,
The moments that not only embarrassed the president, but also fueled the narrative of an aging leader losing his touch. In 2022, Biden asked whether a congresswoman who had recently died in a car accident was at a White House event. At a campaign event in Las Vegas in June, Biden suggested he recently met with former French President François Mitterrand, who died almost 30 years ago, before quickly correcting himself. Later, he confused German Chancellor Angela Merkel with the late Helmut Kohl. At the NATO summit in Washington, he introduced Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky as President Putin, and last year, he referred to the war in Ukraine as the war in Iraq.
And now I want to hand it over to the President of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin.
In another incident, Biden mistakenly referred to Kamala Harris as President Harris during a speech. Such slips became fodder for critics and opposition alike.
I'm not being facetious. Well, President Harris led this effort.
The hush-hush criticism slowly snowballed into a major controversy, casting a shadow on his return as president.
I think that a lot of people are worried here in the United States, Democratic voters in particular, because they see this as not just a choice between a Republican president or a Democratic president, but they really see, frankly, our larger political system as being at stake, given some of what Trump has said he would do with this Project 2025 if he were to be reelected. And so they really do see it as, almost a decision between, continuing our traditional system of checks and balances that we have in the United States, or something that is really much more autocratic. And that is really scary to a lot of people. And so I think that's why people are nervous and they're on edge. And that's why every single word or every single mistake is given so much weight.
Pressure on Biden only increased after a disastrous performance in the first presidential debate. What should have been a strong defense of his record turned into a series of incoherent arguments and visible confusion.
We have 1,000 trillionaires in America. Billionaires in America, eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID.
During the debate, Biden struggled to respond to questions about his foreign policy, often pausing and looking lost.
Look,
His opponent, Donald Trump, seized the opportunity to question his capability to lead the U.S.
But if somebody at home is asking themselves, who's going to make me proud of being an American again? That's where Trump won this hands down. He mopped the floor. And I thought it was a great outcome.
I just didn't need a tie, or he needed a decisive win to give him some momentum and reduce the questions about his age. But tonight, and some of his nonverbal cues and just slow movements is going to increase a lot of speculation about, does he have the age and stamina for another term in office?
As Biden's gaffes became more frequent, the chorus calling for him to step down grew louder. Even some Democrats began to question his ability to lead. From Adam Schiff, Mike Levin, Eric Sorensen to mega donors, all raised their voices and urged Biden to withdraw from the race. In a statement released to the New York Times, Representative Adam Schiff's office stated, and I quote, "Joe Biden has been one of the most consequential presidents in our nation's history, and his lifetime of service as a senator, a vice president, and now as president has made our country better. But our nation is at a crossroads. A second Trump presidency will undermine the very foundation of our democracy, and I have serious concerns about whether the president can defeat Donald Trump in November. While the choice to withdraw from the campaign is President Biden's alone, I believe it is time for him to pass the torch. And in doing so, secure his legacy of leadership by allowing us to defeat Donald Trump in the upcoming election."
Take a look at what happened.
The situation took a dramatic turn with an attempted assassination on former President Donald Trump. The incident only added to the mounting pressure on Biden. The attempt on Trump's life was a shock to the nation. It brought about fears of political instability and raised the stakes for Biden. As the nation grappled with the shocking assassination bid, Biden's leadership came under even more scrutiny. To top it all, Biden tested positive for COVID amid Trump's victorious roar at the Republican National Convention. In the final weeks leading up to Biden's withdrawal, the political landscape was a whirlwind. Biden's every single move was under a microscope, and the pressure from all sides was relentless. The announcement of Biden's decision to withdraw came as a relief to some and a shock to others. His tone was solemn, acknowledging the pressures and the challenges he faced. Despite the immense pressure, Biden remained resolute. His decision to step down was not taken lightly, but was seen by many as a necessary step for the stability of the nation.
Well, it was a shock, but I think it's a good thing so that the Democratic Party can find somebody that they can all rally against and hopefully create some unity, because we don't have that right now.
I felt relieved. I think Mr. Biden has done a good job with the state of the country, and I also think it was time for him to hand it over to someone who is going to be a little more energetic in the campaign.
Speculation is now rife about the future. Despite Biden endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris, the road ahead may not be very smooth for Harris. So, will Biden's move turn into a masterstroke? Who will the Democrats field to challenge Trump for the presidency? We'll wait and watch.